Hey, so I just watched the Salem's Lot movie over the weekend, and excuse me, well, and just wanted to come on here and give you my opinion on it and kind of review it a little bit. I know in the trailer it looked really good. I have a trailer review if you want to see that, or a reaction if you want to see that on my channel. And so I watched the movie, and I was really coming into this with really kind of not high expectations, but I just was interested and I was curious to see what this was going to look like. The trailer has a few good parts in it, and I was kind of, my interest was piqued. But after watching it, I could say that I just was kind of disappointed in it. Well, first, I think, and I've read a couple of reviews on it, and I'm just going to kind of echo what they say, which was it just did feel kind of rushed. There's just so much story to it. It's like a 500 page or close to 500 pages book, and there's just so much information on it that I didn't see how they were going to squash all that in a 2-hour movie. There's a lot of things that they took out, rightfully so, because of the runtime. And I also heard that there's a longer version of this, that they really cut it down. I would like to see that, but there's things in here in this movie that really they just kind of gloss over, and one scene is just a rush to get to the next scene, and so there's a lot of exposition in the dialogue as opposed to the actors kind of you finding out kind of organically through the story being unfolded. This unfortunately didn't do that. They always tell you when you're writing a screenplay or a movie, it's like, you always go by like show me, don't tell me, as best you can. Well, this was just constantly tell me, don't show me. And there was a lot of things that I wish that they could have shown, because, again, it's just a great story. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books. And it's just one of those stories where there's a lot of info, there's a lot of characters, and I understand that you have to take some characters out, and that's fine. But it was just kind of like, what do you call it, those books that you would read in school when you couldn't read the whole book, Cliff Notes, It's kind of like the Cliff Notes version. And so, with that being said, it was the movie itself just wasn't that scary. It was kind of just, there was really no suspense. You can kind of figure out when and what's going to happen, and the way that they get there isn't interesting, or it's just very, let's get to the chorus, don't bore us, type of mentality. And it was just a lot of padding, or not padding, but it was a lot of condensing a lot of things that I just really didn't see the point of, condense. I mean, the movie itself, it just starts out kind of a third into the story, or the first, like I said, I've written a couple. I've tried to write it out as a short series, and my first episode ends where this story starts, and so you miss a whole setup of characters, and you meet the town people, but you also meet the town and how the town works, and the dynamics and the vibrancy in the small town. And you meet Parkins, Gillespie, you meet Larry Crockett, and in meeting these characters, you get the sense of who they are through their actions. And in this movie, I think you meet Larry Crockett once, if I'm not mistaken. I only saw it once, the movie, so I could be mistaken, but I just remember meeting him at the beginning, and then you don't hear from him again. And his part of the story is interesting. It kind of tells you what kind of person he is. And Straker, in this story, he wasn't scary. You know, I think they tried to make him creepy and scary because I think it seemed like the direction for him was just be creepy and scary. And, you know, he would make these faces but it wasn't creepy. I think what makes him not creepy, but what makes him interesting is that he stands out in this town. You know, there's some things in the book that they go through that make him an outcast, and you see it, and that's what makes it him more interesting. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, so you know, you want to flesh out characters like that are the main components of the story, and this kind of just goes over that and just makes him the typical creepy guy. And so when the scene happens with him abducting a kid or terrorizing some kids, it just doesn't come off as creepy or scary. It just, you know, it's just cheap horror film tropes. And so that's what the whole movie was. It was just these kind of stock horror movie characters, and didn't have much to root for them. And, you know, the story just feels rushed and flat and empty. The cinematography was kind of too much a little bit. It was a little too polished for me. The characters seemed like they were wearing 70s costumes as opposed to just 70s clothes. You know, the cars were cool. You know, all the old 70s cars. And I don't know, the cinematography it kind of took me out in some parts, you know, because it looked so CG. It just looked too computer, especially the night scenes just didn't give me any kind of, you know, spookiness to it. It just was clean. It looked like every other kind of scary movie that's come out in the last 10 years. So the cinematography was kind of bland. The acting was good. I mean, there wasn't any kind of bad performances. I think they made some changes to the characters, especially with Mark, and the way they kind of met their demise. It just seemed cheap. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. Like I said, when I first started the movie, the way it starts, I was already disappointed. So I was looking for things. Excuse me. I just was constantly looking for things to be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. You know, the certain deaths were kind of rearranged, and certain people got killed later or sooner. And, you know, Matthew Burke, the actor that played him, was really good. He's been in some other HBO movies. He was in The Outsider. And so, I mean, I think it just kind of, I don't know, disappointing. I would say out of 10, I'd give it a 3. I think it was serviceable. But if you hadn't read the book and you hadn't seen the 2 other versions, and you're coming into this brand new, like, Salem's Lot, it's a Stephen King movie, I think maybe you would enjoy it better. But with all the things that they left out, all little details too that they left out, just didn't seem, it just made this movie empty, and it made it into a typical horror movie that, you know, slasher film type vampire movie that had no real personality. For me anyways, that's what it felt like. If you liked it, you know, comment down below and tell me why you liked it. That's great. I think if you liked it, I want to hear why. And I'm glad that you liked it. It's cool. You know, Stephen King's a great writer. And so I'd be interested in hearing your opinion on it too. So if you want to, comment down. And if you want me to comment or review another movie, let me know which ones. I also have podcasts coming, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.